before you go down in comments, let me explain a couple of things. Yes, this is very early to be talking about the Enso and and winter during June. The thing is that this Enso research will never change no matter what time of the year it is. It's gonna, maybe the probability of a neutral or say a La Nina or El Nino will become more defined as we get close to winter. But there's nothing wrong with speculation and showing you what will occur during a neutral or what will occur during a La Nina or an El Nino, depending on what's to come. So this will get updated as the years go on. This is kind of what to expect based on what's going on right now. So kind of a little winter forecast update. So enjoy the video. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about the Enso outlook. And it's going to be exciting. So we'll be talking about the Enso outlook's impact on the winter, and what will happen if say a certain pattern develops for the winter months. And I know it's early, but it's more of like a speculative thing, kind of telling you what usually occurs during a certain pattern. I've been doing this in the past years, talking about these Ensos, but I have a lot of new people on this channel, so I want to give everybody kind of like a refresher on this and let everyone kind of know what to expect for this year, So if you guys would like to subscribe to this channel, that would be awesome. If you could like this video, that'd be really cool as well. I always like the support, obviously. If you are new, consider subscribing. If you are an old returning viewer, the best thing you could do is definitely like the video. That helps out a lot. And you could also leave a comment. That helps as well. Let's start looking at the Enso. So right now we're looking at the previous years of the El Nino Southern Oscillation, and you can see this dates back to 2008, which really isn't that far in the scheme of I guess the records that we have. Of the records we have of the Enso, you can see that the farthest it goes is 1950. So these are only a few years, but you can see it's a mixture between some neutral years marked by the gray and neutral color, and I guess the above average, the El Nino, which is marked by the red, and the below average, which is the La Nina, marked by the blue. I want to point out that anything between negative 0.5 and positive 0.5 is considered neutral. Anything above a positive 0.5 is considered an El Nino, and anything below a negative 0.5 is considered a La Nina. And you can see that that's the pattern we have these things. Negative 0.5 is La Nina, but negative 0.4 already is a neutral. And, you may be wondering, well, what is the Enso? Well, it's basically a region off the coast of South America. Let's get a good picture right here. It's this right here, right? This little region, and whether it's blue, La Nina more favored, neutral, kind of neither, or orange, red, above average, and El Nino. Now, as you can see, during the past 4 weeks, it was getting cooler. They've been dropping off. So this is definitely indicating that we're cooling off and we're getting towards a La Nina. You may be wondering, why does this matter at all about our weather in the United States? Well, it's kind of a, I guess, tough to explain, if you will. It's not really easy to understand, and I won't be trying to explain it here because that's it for another video. That's a different topic, but this impacts the weather patterns like across North America, like the NAO, the PNA. All those get impacted directly with this. They correlate to like the jet stream's path, and usually we get to see tendencies when something is cooler. When the water is cooler across South America waters, then we could, we favor a certain pattern over the winter across North America. Now, there's other regions that get impacted by the Enso, like Asia, Australia, the Pacifica, but it really affects North America definitely to the greatest extent. And why is that? Well, again, I don't fully understand it myself, as scientists don't either. This was a recently discovered phenomena in the 20th century, so it's not really that old. And it was initially discovered by proven fishermen when they realized that the cooler or warmer water had impact on their fishing routes and their fishing numbers, their fishing success, if you will. Okay, so now that you have a little background of what it is, let's take a look at what's forecasted. So you can see Enso neutral is most likely to continue through the northern hemisphere summer 2020 with a roughly equal chance of Enso neutral or La Nina beginning in August and through October. So, the fall months are at question and the winter months are at question for sure. And today I decided to make it about the winter because I feel like it would just be a little bit more exciting. I should have maybe done the summer or the fall impacts first, but I decided the winter impacts will be fun to see. And you can see that the Enso neutral or La Nina beginning in October. So basically, they don't know which one will be which. And see, that's just we don't have the technology to really decipher that this far out. You can see that both chances for La Nina or neutral are pretty even. The El Nino is pretty low, and it will probably remain low. You can see it's rising in probability, but it really is pretty far down low. It's really between those two, the gray and the La Nina. So if you were to look at the model outlook, you can see we are technically right here. So we're in the neutral right now. And basically, you can see this is where the models diverge. Some of them show almost getting up towards an El Nino. Well, some of them are getting into a very, very, very strong La Nina. But for the most part, it's a neutral borderline with a La Nina. So it doesn't really help us a lot. You can see models predict either Enso neutral or La Nina during the remainder of 2020. Okay, so like it really, these two things have similar impacts for certain regions, but the difference between these two is pretty substantial for other areas. So it's not something that I guess is just, just not, not important. It's pretty important. And if you were to look at the CFS forecast models, you can see that this is where we are right now. So at a neutral, almost a La Nina. And they're forecasted, the CFS models, to get into a La Nina by around August. So that would be pretty rapid development of a La Nina. And you can see that it continues that of that La Nina well into winter. And by the time it's February, it's still a La Nina, and it's starting to go back up, but it's still a La Nina. Now, this is probably the most confident one, the CFS, in terms of the La Nina forecast. But let me tell you, based on my past experiences with the Enso over the past several years, usually the models predict the change a little bit faster than it actually does. So, like for example, last year we were supposed to go into neutral from an El Nino rapidly, and that really didn't occur till around, I think it was like October and November, which was a little bit late. And there was several other examples I could actually go back up here and show you. So if you recall, and also it was forecasted to be neutral last year winter, and you could see it stayed just borderline El Nino. It stayed 0.5, 0.6, 0.5. So it was supposed to be a neutral, but it went up to El Nino. So this isn't just all set in stone. Now the chances of it actually becoming an El Nino from a forecast like this is very low. But the chances between a neutral and a La Nina, if you're a gambling man, you're basically going to go 50-50, to be honest with you. If you're to look at these models and these models, you can see they're showing different things. This one's more of a kind of in between the neutral and La Nina. This one's more of a La Nina favor. So you may be wondering, well, what does a neutral Enso mean in terms of weather for the United States or for North America? So let's take a look at this. If you're on my channel, you've definitely seen this graphic before. You've definitely seen this many times before, and you could see that here it is again. It's that time of the year where we start talking about it. And notice that we have cold air to the north because the polar jet stream dips further to the south as a result of that that cooler or that neutral water. That it's kind of like that in between. This is a neutral pattern, and you can see that the Pacific jet stream hits the northwest, so possibly some more snow systems and some more rainstorms for those locations. Subtropical jet stream is just absolutely plowing through parts of southeastern United States into Florida, Alabama, and you can see it's wet and warm, and you can see that this Pacific jet stream would lead to more storms coming in and affecting and kind of driving into that cold air, so a lot of snow for the north, and this would also produce quite a bit of snowstorms for the northeast with the subtropical jet stream kind of merging with this cold air. Now, that's not always the case, but it's more favorable for that. So if we were to look at other, I guess, you can see, and by the way, I'm showing you the Enso neutral today because this video is going to be titled what happens if if an Enso neutral forecast happens, if an Enso neutral for the winter stays. I'll do a video in a couple of days about the La Nina, but today we're just focused on the neutral, and you can see that then, at this point, again, based on the modeling, you're basically 50-50. You could go neutral or La Nina for either forecast, and we'll have to see. You could see the odds are pretty darn even, 40-40, 42%, 41%. So you could go either way at this point, and I'll talk about that in a different video about the La Nina more in depth. But let's talk about the neutral in today's video, and you can see that again, Pacific Jets delivering quite a bit of precipitation as well up there, and that basically collides with the cool air, kind of delivers quite a bit of Alberta clippers across the north. That's what we saw in the 2013-2014 pattern. You could see warm and wet across the southern United States. That would probably lead to some severe thunderstorms, some flooding, more active pattern. This would also lead to some more moistures for snowstorms to possibly pick up across the United States. So this is definitely something that is all a favorable for a nice winter, but it's not always the case. We like to just look at the Enso and say, oh, it's Enso neutral, this will be the winter. There's so many other factors that go into forecasting that I don't even know all of them. And to be honest, many of them have such small impacts, but or have so much small impacts, at least it seems like, but they could have a huge resulting, I guess, in snowfall or just cold weather. So it's really tough. Winter forecasting is more of a it's more of an art rather than a science, I guess. Like, it's just sorry about that. It's more of a it's really more of a guessing game, to be honest with you. The Weather Channel, National Weather Service, NOAA puts out our own forecast. They're the professional forecasters. I put air quotes on that. And, they get it rarely more right than me or Direct Weather or any other person that does this. We do a fairly good job of that as well. While, they do equally as good, and they have way more research and way more meteorologists to go with. It's just, we're not at that technological level, and I don't know if we ever will be to forecast such events, winter perfectly. So, by the way, the next thing I'll be showing you is a map that I made off of neutral years. And you may be wondering where I got my neutral Enso years, and it's from this chart. You can see that it has its months right here: November, December, January, February, and the rest of winter. And then these 3 months, I basically took all the neutral years, the neutral time frames, and I compiled it all the way back to 1980s. And basically what I got was these photos, which I took a screenshot of. So notice, this is the precipitation for December through February of a bunch of neutral Enso years. So if something that may happen this year, and you can see that it's really nothing special. A little bit wetter towards the north, a little bit drier towards the south, but it's not really consistent. If anything is more consistent, is that it's drier. Sorry about that beeping. That is the dryer in the background, so hopefully you could bear with me. It will be done in just a minute. Okay, there we go. So you can see it's drier here, which doesn't really go with that Pacific jet stream to the 100%. That Pacific jet stream would more imply a little bit of more precipitation. Not necessarily the case. You can see there's quite a bit of precip across British Columbia, which Alberta's clippers could come down and affect these areas. But it's pretty dry across the west itself. This isn't really a good thing to go by. If you were to look at the temperatures, that's something a little bit more pronounced. You can see more cold air to the north, pretty nice locked up air mass. It's a little bit more drier across the east coast into the south, and that's about it. You can see the west is a little bit cooler. Now, it would be nice if we could just easily look at this and be like, well, that's our future winter. Here you go. That's my winter forecast. It's many pieces, and over the course of the years, I've gotten better and better at forecasting, but it still is far from perfect, and I'm not saying I never will be perfect, because it's just such a hard art/science to perfect. And notice that this is, favorable for a pretty cold winter. These are obviously many years, so some of these years were way colder. Some of these years were, I guess, warmer. But to an average, I guess you could expect this during a neutral year, and especially notice a cold air to the north. So that's basically it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. And I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. So consider subscribing, consider liking. See ya. Bye.